Hello, Mosaic Souls. Hey, Mosaic Souls, this is Rachael Alexander, artist and Mosaic Soul mentor, aka spiritual teacher and transformational coach with flair. And today I wanted to talk about creating a personal ritual. So, each day I wanted to sort of dedicate to a topic in helping you to create the environment to foster your dreams, right? Creating an environment that will help you to foster you moving towards more and more of what you desire in your life, right? So today I wanted to talk about why it's important to have a daily ritual in your life, and preferably a morning ritual, but in general, a daily ritual to sort of connect with yourself, to center yourself, and to set your day up for success so that each day you're moving towards closer and closer and closer to the life that you want to create. If you're live with me, feel free to say hi. So let's talk about creating a personal daily ritual and why that's important. So, one of the things that I learned from several coaches that I've had in my life, and even when I was doing sort of my yoga certification, was the importance of sort of setting up your day and why that is important, like on a human level. Feel free to say hi if you're live with me and where you're from. But the thing that I learned from the several coaches that I've had, as well as the um, the yoga certification that I did and stuff like that, was the importance. There's sort of metaphysical principles that however you start your day is how the rest of your day sort of snowballs, right? So one of the things, the sayings in the Kemetic yoga community that we would always say is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And powerful people do everything with power, right? And so one of the rituals that I've implemented in my life, actually even before I did the Kemetic yoga certification, it was from a coach that I had studied with like over 10 years ago, and he talked about the hour of power. I think it was Jack Canfield in his book, The Success Principles. If you haven't read that book, definitely check it out. It's a really great book. But he talked about the success principles, and he talked about the hour of power and sort of setting up your day, having an hour to yourself dedicated to really nurturing, to replenishing, and to rejuvenating yourself on a day-to-day basis, mind, body, and spirit, such that your day is unfolding in the way that you want to, right? A lot of times we have a tendency to work hard and be hard on ourselves, and we wonder why we procrastinate, or we wonder why we aren't feeling productive, or we aren't getting closer to what we want. And a lot of that has to do because we don't have certain specific habits that are built into specific structure that is built into our daily lives, that helps to foster an environment for us to be productive, or helps us to foster an environment for us to move closer and closer towards our day-to-day lives, right? So when you're thinking about creating a daily, I call it divine daily rituals, is you want to first think about what are the things that really nourish and replenish me and really help me to feel connected and centered to who I am, and help me to feel not only connected and centered to who I am, but help me to give me that sort of jolt and boost of energy that is really going to carry me throughout my day, to allow me to do the things that I desire to do, that is moving me closer and closer towards my dream life, right? So those are the things that you want to think about, like cultivating that idea, and then just sort of creating habits around creating a personal success ritual, right? And a personal success ritual is just that, is creating and fostering an environment and cultivating an environment that allows for the greatest version of you to sort of arise, right? So oftentimes, especially if you don't have this in place, you just kind of get out of bed and then you rush to, brush your teeth and take a shower and maybe grab a bagel and some stuff, and then you're off, or maybe, get some coffee at the office or whatever the situation is, right? And you don't take that personal time to really tune into yourself and set the tone for your day. When you're moving from that place of rush, 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 it creates that sort of snowball effect where you feel like you're never catching up, or you're always behind, or you're overwhelmed, or you're burnt out and stuff like that, right? But when you take that time and say, you know what, I'm gonna wake up, 30 minutes extra earlier, or I'm going to, set aside time for me to create more of the me time that I need in order for my day to go the way that I want to, then you start to see and realize better and better results. Now, like when I had my own, when I was working for someone else and I had a 9 to 5, I still had a daily ritual. So I think because my job was like 2 hours away, and so every morning I would have to drive 2 hours towards my job and then 2 hours back. It was just like a freaking nightmare, okay? Just the driving it itself. But I made it a personal ritual. So before my house, what I would do is, and you have to like tailor your own personal ritual to what you want, right? So what I would do in the morning is, before I would leave, I would make sure that I moved my body. I like to set it up to like the 3 M's, right? Movement, meditation, and meals, right? Nourishment, right? So, and meditation doesn't necessarily mean you go, but really it's meditation in the sense that you're quieting your mind, or you're centering yourself in whatever way that shows up for you, right? And so for me, when I had the 9 to 5, what I would do is, I knew that I couldn't move in my car, right? But I had a 2 hour trek to my job, right? So what I would do is, I would make sure I would do at least a 5 to 10 minute daily yoga or HIIT exercise or something to kind of jolt me to waking up, and also get that movement, right? Because I was going to work and I had a like sit down desk job or whatever. And often throughout the day I would be getting up, or I would like fold my legs in an awkward way, or a way that allowed for some circulation to happen in my lower back and stuff like that. But I would make sure I moved before I left the house, right? And then I would also make my smoothie. So I'd have my movement, and I would have my meal. Now, my meditation would come in the form of, I would make my 2 hour trek to work a part of my daily meditation. So I was connecting to my higher self, connecting to my soul. I would listen to spiritual teachers, or just kind of tune into my own divine team and ask questions and get clarity and stuff like that. So that hour or 2 hour of trekking to work back and forth was like my meditation time. So I kind of created that personal success ritual for myself. So whatever your life is like, if you're an entrepreneur like me, my personal success is my creating my personal daily, I call it daily divine ritual. Creating your own daily divine ritual for me looks a lot different, because now I just work for myself. So and do freelance and all that other stuff, coaching and freelance and stuff. So my daily divine ritual looks like, I wake up in the morning, I have water immediately, and then the next thing that I do is usually some form of movement, either between yoga or fitness, or a combination of both. Usually it's a combination of both. Usually if if my body is not feeling like the heavy HIIT exercise, I might do just like a 5 minute thing, and then focus more so on that slow movement into yoga. So I mostly do yoga in the morning, and some, like today's morning was like that, but like Tuesday morning I was like feeling pumped, and so I did a longer HIIT. So I just kind of fluctuate between that. And then after that, I usually have my meal, which is usually a big A smoothie. Like my smoothies are usually like the whole pitcher of the jar of smoothie, really. And then after that, no, I forgot. After exercising, I usually meditate and connect with my higher self. Usually it entails me doing some journaling in my little journal here. And after that, I usually have my meal, bathe, and get started with my day, right? So I want you to ask yourself, if you're alive, feel free to say hi. Let me know your name and where you are located in the world. Let me know if you have a personal daily divine ritual and what yours looks like. And if you don't, what would you think that you would want your personal daily ritual to look like? So I talked about why it's important to start your day off with a daily ritual. And let me talk about that a little bit more, right? So the importance of it, right? So when you think about how you start your day, or how you move into a new thing, right? The energy that you bring. How did you meditate and drive? Okay, so when I talk about meditate, it wasn't like I'm sitting there closing my eyes and driving. It was more so like how do I explain that? Okay, let me finish my thought before, and then I'll come back to you on that question. Hey, Miss Cherokee. But what I would do, the importance of meditate. What was I saying? The important. I got my mind wires crossed. I was talking about the importance of having that daily ritual. How you start and move into the energy of that you bring into something is how that energy is going to carry on. So it creates a ripple effect, right? So creating that personal daily ritual is really going to set you up to feel more in control of your life. It'll help you feel more connected to who you truly are, and it'll also help you feel more gratitude and appreciate. Depending on the things that you put in your daily divine ritual, is will foster these emotions, right? But including certain things and habits into your daily ritual will help you to feel more in control of your life and feel like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this thing. My life is working. I like where I'm headed. This is the life I want to create, moving, right? Okay. So back to your question, Miss Cherokee. How did I meditate and drive? Okay, I did not drive and meditate. I do not recommend anyone to do that. So what I was doing is basically I would usually it was listening to some like calming music on the way, because I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta traffic is just ridiculous. Okay, so without traffic, it would take me like 40 to 45 minutes to get to work. But because of all this traffic, it would end up taking me like an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to work every day. So what I would do is I would turn that into sort of my meditation period. And when I talked about meditation, it's not necessarily closing your eyes, but it's sort of like clearing your mind, decluttering your mind, sort of allowing whatever emotions are coming up for you, sort of it's sort of like what I call that inner. I talked about this on my YouTube channel about what did I call it? Something about inner something, about creating, fostering that inner, like cultivating your inner wellspring, right? Like getting in touch with your emotions on a day-to-day basis, connecting with your divine team or connecting with your higher self or whatever you want to call it. Really just doing that. And so that's what I would do on my day-to-day drive to work, as I would connect with myself. Sometimes I would listen to other spiritual teachers. A lot of times what would end up happening, I would be connecting with my divine team on my way to work, and I'd be asking them questions, and I would just turn on my phone and I would talk about, they communicated to me, and then I would just sort of record the answers that I was given to the questions that I was having. Or I would listen to other spiritual teachers. I would listen to meditative music, and just sort of calm my nervous system instead of sort of letting the Atlanta traffic get to me, and make me feel like, why am I doing this? I was like, you know what? I decided to have this job. I decided to create this event in my life. And I actually really liked my job at the time. I really loved it. So I was like, well, I'm just going to turn this into a personal success ritual for me. Every time I go to work and every time I come back, this is going to be my me time where I get to cultivate my inner world, if that makes sense. Cherokee, I wax and wane with my ritual. So lately, oops, let's not do that. I wax and wane with my ritual lately. So stop doing that. I have been so off, almost like an upside down. I need my tea in the morning, 10 minutes of breathing and stretching, and 50 squats. That makes me feel empowered. Yeah, so that's what's up. Yeah, so it seems like you already have your ritual in place. Now it's about just sort of making it stick, right? So if you have a ritual that's working for you, then, and like you said, the whole point of it is to make you feel empowered, to make you feel like, okay, I got this. My life is on track. I'm moving. I'm doing the dang thing. And a part of the daily success ritual too is to not only start your day out right, but also to help you sort of cultivate and navigate and make sure that you're moving towards what you want, right? So a part of that, one of the things that I would add to the 3 M's that I talked about, the movement, meditation, and meal, is really focusing on getting clear on like where you want to be headed, right? Like, so whether you like to visualize or write down your goals or intentions or talk about or journal out or whatever, it's sort of having that self accountability, that self daily check-in. That's what I talked about on this channel before. I can't remember what video that is. If I remember, I will put a link to that video. But I talked about cultivating that inner wellspring. And the reason why that's super important is because when you take the time to realize on a day-to-day basis, where am I at emotionally and mentally, and also where do I want to be on a day-to-day basis, it helps you to actually start keeping up with taking those baby steps to move you closer and closer to what you want. You see what I'm saying? So when you don't have that daily self check-in, then you're just bombarded with life, and life comes, and every day you start to feel like life is on autopilot, and next thing you know, a year has passed and you're now no closer to where you want to be, right? We've all been there. Raise your hand if you've been there. I've been there. Where life just kind of takes over, and because you don't have these things in place, life just seems to pass you by and you're like, God, how the heck did I wake up, 25, or how the heck did I wake up 30 and I'm not any closer to where I want to be? I thought I was going to be, right? Yeah, exactly. So the whole point of having that daily self check-in is to be like, on a human level, this is where I sort of disagree with certain spiritual teachers. I like to mix personal development with spirituality, is because on a human level, we do not usually feel completely satisfied unless we feel like we're making, it depends on who you are. But for me, if you're like anything like me, a Mosaic soul, you don't feel completely satisfied just being all the time or just completely going with the flow. A part of you likes to have a little bit of structure because it makes you feel empowered. Like you said, doing your 50 squats and stuff like that makes you feel empowered. Doing certain things or habits and daily rituals makes you feel empowered. And when you feel empowered, you have more inspiration and quote unquote motivation to move in the direction of your heart and your soul, and doing things that light you up and doing things that bring you joy. And when you do things that light you up and bring you joy, you're more and more in alignment with creating your dream life, if you see what I'm saying. So let me know if this resonates with you in the chat. I am done with the topic, or talking about the topic of today. If you want to get some daily divine coaching, feel free to share with me in the chat your thoughts, or the biggest thing that you're struggling with in regards to, it could be the daily divine ritual, or it could be something else you want to work through. Feel free to let me know in the chat. If not, I'm gonna hop off, but I'm gonna wait a few minutes and see if anyone has anything that they want to chat about today. I'm super excited about today because I got some good old soul food that I'm looking forward to diving into. Got some collard greens and some yams and some black eyed peas. So I'm super excited to have dinner today. So I'm just gonna wait and let you guys see if anyone has anything that they want to chat about and work through. Me too. Me too, girl. I love me some soul food. Healthy soul food, though. I don't do the unhealthy stuff, all the other stuff that people do, but yeah. But yeah, so if no one has anything that they want to chat about, I'm going to hop off. I had a few coaching sessions earlier today, so this is definitely, I'm looking forward to sort of rejuvenating and chilling out. It's interesting. It's so interesting to me, the weather and how that totally affects your day-to-day and energy. You're so welcome, Miss Cherokee. Nice to chat with you again today. It's so interesting how the winter weather totally affects our energy. I was reading earlier today in an article about how the winter weather has a tendency to make us feel sleepier and more slow during the wintertime, which makes sense because a lot of animals actually hibernate during this period in time, right? And so with our hustle and bustle society and stuff like that, if you're just joining me live, feel free to say hi and where you're from and your name and stuff like that. Right now, I'm leaving the floor open for anyone who wants to get some daily divine coaching. Right now, I'm just rambling. Winter sucks. Trust me. Hi. I was just talking about my yoga instructor is on here. Hello, Netter Ankh. What's up? Yes, I was just talking about what I learned from you earlier about how you do one thing is how you do everything, and how that has definitely made a ripple effect in my life. And greetings, yeah. But yeah, so winter, I was reading in an article earlier about winter being, do you have a hard time learning how to meditate in reference to mental distractions? I'm gonna answer your question, Truth Seeker. Let me know your name and where you're from. I'll answer your question in a second. But yeah, I was reading the article earlier, and it was just basically about how our melatonin kicks in earlier in the day because the amount of sunlight during the day is actually a lot shorter, right? And so if you're feeling more tired than usual and you feel like you want to go to bed earlier, that's actually kind of normal just because of the winter weather. Winter weather has a tendency to make us want to go to sleep earlier because there's less sunlight during the day. And so our melatonin kicks in when the night starts to hit earlier, and so that's sort of part of it. And then also the cold naturally makes us want to snuggle up and feel warm, and when you're snuggled up and feel warm, you're not actively out and doing stuff, right? So these are sort of natural normal rhythms. If you're ever struggling with sort of the winter blues and stuff like that, Dina in New Hampshire, welcome. Dina, what's up from New Hampshire? As far as like your question, why does this keep doing that? Let me see, live chat. Your question was, do you have a hard time learning how to meditate in reference to mental distractions? No, I did not have a hard time. I've been meditating since I was 18, which was some years ago, over 10 years ago. So no, but when you are first starting to meditate, I would say give yourself some love and don't beat yourself up, because a part of meditation isn't necessarily always to like shut down your mind, right? Like I feel like the more you do it, the more that kind of that spaciousness and that openness and that awareness of your thoughts starts to step in. But when you're first starting out, right, your mind you might have a monkey mind like I did, and your mind just might be going a mile a minute with all the goals and things that you have to do and da 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 da. That's normal. So what you want to do is bring that energy of love and acceptance, sort of like you know, I love this analogy of sort of like a mother, right? Watching the antics of a child. If you've ever seen a child just play with thing and they're like all over with the blocks and the Legos and stuff and they're doing their thing, and you're just watching the child, no judgment. You're just like, oh, look, she's doing all this stuff. Be that same way, but with the thoughts in your mind, right? So bring that certain level of awareness to your thoughts when you're trying to meditate, especially when you're first starting out, because when you start to bring that level of awareness, you start to recognize that there's a separation between you and your thoughts. Part of the issues that when we have mental distractions and stuff like that is because we're not giving ourselves that sort of break and that pause to move throughout our day without giving us that energy of just breathing, being here, embracing silence, right? A lot of people aren't comfortable with silence. And so starting to meditate on a day-to-day basis will start to keep working your magic year down. Yes, you are too, Neteron. Thank you, Dua. That will actually start to help you foster more daily connection to yourself in deeper and more intuitive ways, and you'll be able to not get distracted, right? When, let's say you're trying to work on XYZ right now that's in front of you, put your phone away. That's another thing. So don't try to meditate and you have your phone there unless your phone is playing some meditation music or something like that, right? But like to eliminate the distractions, we live in such a society, and it's so totally designed that way. There's a documentary on Netflix. I feel like I'm just rambling. No one has anything else to say. I'm about to hop off and eat my dinner. But there's a documentary on Netflix. I haven't watched all of it yet, but it talks about like how like basically a lot of like technology companies have designed, and like social media companies have designed technology to be all encompassing, right? And so we're living in a society to where our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and they're even doing studies on children. Like I remember this one study that I read up on, and it was like really shocking. And the study was about they would study these Generation Zs, and so they would they gave these Generation Zs, people who are like 18 and under or whatever like that, these teenagers, would you rather have your hand smashed or your phone smashed, right? Their phone, right? And do you know that it was like a staggering like 75% of those kids said that they would rather have they either hesitated and say, well, how long will it take my hand to heal? Right? Or they said, I'd rather you smash my hand and not my phone, because they're so addicted to the phone, right? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like these kids would rather have their hand smashed than to have their phone destroyed. That shows you where our love and like where we're at as a society. That was kind of shocking to me when I read that study. I was like, oh my God, these kids are so addicted to their phones. We're so addicted to technology, and it's understandable, but you have to start to cultivate that sort of off time, being off from the bombardment of all this energy and distractions that are always constantly coming in, right? Right, exactly. We get dopamine hit every time we use it. That's so true. They've done studies on that. That is so true that people who use technology, we get dopamine every time someone likes a photo. Ooh, yeah, right. Every time someone comments on one of your posts, ooh, and it's all good, but it's, part of being a sovereign being is not deriving your happiness from other people's opinions, other people's likes and comments and posts and stuff like that. If you're struggling with that, check out my video on this channel where I talk about how to stop caring about what other people think about you. And I think you'll start to feel a little bit more centered and grounded and letting go of this idea that you need other people's approvals or need that sort of external stimulation in order to feel good on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? I double dog dare you, since we're moving into Saturday, to leave your phone at home unless it's one of those things, or put your phone on autopilot and leave that baby in the car or wherever, and take at least an hour or 5 and not be with your phone this weekend for a few hours and see how that goes. I grew up without a phone and things were so much more peaceful internally. That's why I'm going back to a flip phone. Yes, my sister. If I didn't do so much from my phone as far as my business, I would go back to a flip phone too. If I did not do, because most of the things that I use my iPhone for is literally for my business, right? Whether that's all the random things that I do, posting on like social media or things like that. And most of the things that I post on is all business related, or, in regards to attracting clients and stuff like that, or anything to do my business. Most of this stuff that I use my phone for. But if I wasn't using my phone for that, trust me, I would definitely go back to a flip phone too. Because I thought about that too. Because there was a good like 3 or 4 months this year that I literally deleted all the social media apps off my phone. Because I was like, you know what? This ain't helping. I have a Kindle and I can use that in the evening for you too. Well, that's what's up. Yeah, see? There's always workarounds. Okay, you guys. Well, today has been beautiful. It's been a pleasure being with you guys. I'm gonna hop off, have some dinner. I will be back with you guys. I'm debating on pushing it back to 7:30. I'll let you know in the community tab or something if I decide to push it back by an hour or 30 minutes or so. But you guys have a wonderful evening. If no one has any questions, I will talk to you guys later. Remember to always flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. And whatever you expect is what you'll get, and however you feel what will become real for you. So vibrate higher. Peace, love, and light. I'll talk to you guys later. Many blessings to you too. Bye, you guys. Thank you.